Hello, and welcome to this episode of Flyby, presented by the National Model Aviation Museum. I'm your host, Claire, and today I'll be talking about Control Line Precision Aerobatics and George Aldrich's iconic Control Line stunt model, the Nobler. While you may know it as Control Line Stunt, the current official name for the competition is Control Line Precision Aerobatics. Control Line Stunt was the official name from its inception at the Nats in 1946 through 1953. In the Model Aviation official 1954 Nats results list, it is first referred to as Control Line Precision Aerobatics. While all official Nats publications and event listings still refer to it as Control Line Precision Aerobatics, most still refer to it as Control Line Stunt. George Aldrich began entering modeling competitions at the age of 14 in 1947, although he got into the hobby at a much younger age. He was drawn to Control Line Stunt almost immediately, and was rumored to have flown his very first stunt model at the age of 11. He was well known for his smooth flying, having been mentored by Bob Smoothie Palmer, and flew his pattern slow to allow the judges a better view. George also flew clockwise, opposite of most other pilots, and he also tended to hold his handle horizontally instead of vertically. The Nobler was designed in 1950, when George was 17, and built in the year following. In his own words from a 1957 newspaper article, "I had been entering meets since I was 14 and couldn't understand why I wasn't winning. So I decided to build my own plane and did the research to find out the best design for stunt flying." Notice that the Nobler is shown in the photograph with the article is slightly different than the Nobler in our collection. He further expands on what he was aiming for in the Nobler's design in its 1952 construction article. "When I sat down in December of 1950 and began the first drawings for my new model, there were three things in my mind. 1. Smoothness. 2. Appearance. 3. A model that would fly under all weather conditions. That is certainly the model he got." The Nobler features flaps, which were still a bit controversial for stunt flying in the early 1950s, to help generate more lift. Lots of lift was not necessarily needed for stunt flying, as it could overpower the pattern and make the flight jerky. But the extra lift helps with a heavier model, which the Nobler was, weighing in at about 3 pounds, due to the multiple coats of paint and dope that gave the model its great finish. A retrospective of George's life notes that the Nobler first competed with a Vico 29 engine, but that had been replaced with a Fox 35 by the time of the 1951 Nats. Tragedy struck in 1963 when a broken line caused the original Nobler to crash into bits. Not willing to part with the model and thinking that one day it could be rebuilt, George kept the pieces stored in a pillowcase for years. In 1988, George attempted to restore the model, but decided otherwise and left it alone. After George passed away in 2001, Charlie Bruce restored the model and flew it at the 2002 Vintage Stunt Champs before donating the model to the museum by George's wife, Juliana. Top Flight bought the Nobler design in 1956 and the kit came out in 1957. According to George, the plans for the Top Flight kit were not drawn directly from the original Nobler, but from a later version. A 1965 newspaper article about Aldrich says that since first being kitted, the Top Flight had produced over 50,000 of the kits. Late in the 1950s or 1960s, Louis Grondel made some modifications to the Nobler and won in the 1960 and 1962 Control Line World Champs, as well as the 1961 Criterium of Aces in Europe. In 1970, Bob Gieske modified the Nobler and took second place in the 1970 Control Line Stunt World Champs. Top Flight was so impressed by Gieske's modifications that they went on to kit Gieske's Nobler, alongside George's original. David Sweeney modified the design to fly RC, and that was also kitted by Top Flight. In 1998, George agreed that Brodat could pick up production of the Nobler kit. It is advertised as being the original Nobler, as the earlier Top Flight kit was not drawn from the original Nobler. This kit is still being sold today. Ian Peacock, an astute and critical admirer of George's, notes in regards to the Brodat kit. It purports to be from George's original Nobler plans, and not from the modified plans that Top Flight used. However, there is some evidence to suggest that even this fine kit is not exactly as per George's first model. He doesn't mention any specific evidence. Take a look at all the Control Line stunt models that came after the Nobler, and you'll see its influence. That's Georgia's legacy.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Flyby. As always, please leave your questions, ideas, and suggestions in the comments section. Follow us on social media for updates on current projects, new donations, and behind-the-scenes historical air modeling information. We always appreciate your feedback. If you notice any discrepancies in the information provided or you have additional information, please email us at museum@modelaircraft.org.